if you take it even further into the world of robotics, and a lot of the drive is around commercial success for the companies that make it. And actually what it's doing is, it's going beyond inclusion and giving me new features that I can use because they're AI. And they're actually excluding me from the world of work because my job will go. And I'm wondering if you take that through to its end, if it's through to the end game of AI, is AI digitally exclusive?
So there are many ways to answer this question. If you look at the trend of what happens during each transition from one industrial revolution to another, there is a pattern. And the pattern is that, of course, some jobs would go, right? When you used to be an agricultural economy that becomes something else. So that is part of the trend. So I think one way to look at it is looking at AI as just another technology trend that has got massive impact on transforming societies and industries. And if you take in that spirit, then you'll find that it has to go through a certain period of transition. And that's what we're seeing now. But if you look at it specifically around the potential of this technology compared to all the other stuff, then there's a different lens again. And what I would say is that so far, at least in our lifetime, I have seen a few things that has blown my mind. The internet being one, and it's great. The difference is companies and individuals have time to get on to the internet. As I said, 30% of the world's population are not. They still have time to get on it. It's a matter of hopefully making that more available and solving all the other problems. They will get on it, right? So that's how you have time to solve that problem. But if you look at AI and the pace of change, the pace is completely at another level. What I learned yesterday is really obsolete. I need to learn something tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So at one level, you're right. It feels like it's really creating a wider gap for the haves and the have-nots. That's one way to look at it. But I also want to draw out the other dimension of it. And this is the reason why, as technology leaders, we do have a responsibility to approach things in a very sort of systemic way, in a strategic way, holistic thinking, all those things, all those good stuff, rather than, being biased and pick a small thing, right? So you got to look at it in a balanced way. Technology per se is not bad. It's how you use it that matters. So if we are careful enough about how we deal with evolving technologies and how we enable technology to help us in our professional and personal lives, that is a very responsible approach. And that is where we got to do more as technology leaders to help with educating ourselves and others about how to navigate through that landscape. But if we don't, then guess what? We are always constantly looking for either opportunities to have personal gains, which is one part, or to see that it's going to be challenging for others that we can ignore, right? So the one good thing I want to draw about AI is that there has been some problems in the past that has been impossible to solve, right? So we talk about the excluded 20%, why you cannot design for 20%. But guess what? With AI, now you have a chance to design something specific for Jeremy, specific for Freddie. That I see as the huge potential, benefit of using AI.
The reason I wanted to go down that was twofold. One was, and I run AI teams, right? So I'm at the edge almost of this. I mean, obviously there's people who have done an awful lot more, but I think I'm further forward than a lot of people. But I still feel that if you imagine AI as a tennis ball, I still know about the fluffy layer. There's so much inside that I just do not know. And I feel quite excluded by that. And the second reason I wanted to bring up is because if this is true, if AI is accelerating so fast that it's really hard to keep up with, it's not going to be your 80, 70, 60-year-olds or even your 50s and 40s. It's your 30s and your 20s who will actually begin to be excluded from this.
Yes. And if I can share one example, if again look at the lens of this is just another technology, how do we do it? So let me give you this example. Last year, the internet celebrated its 50th anniversary. And I attended this celebration at the Royal Society. And what was really interesting was there was a workshop about the hopes and fears and expectations of the next 50 years. So I find myself in this workshop where there are two schools of thought. All right, just like what we're discussing about AI, is it good or AI is it bad? So let me sort of share this with you, right? The internet, for whatever, Tim Berners-Lee was there, and if you've heard him, he says things like, "I wanted this for everybody, but it didn't turn out that way." So we need now have a chance to make sure that we steer the next 50 years in the right way. So I think that's good. That's very responsible of the founder of the internet who said those things. But then if you look at the people on the ground, like you and I having this conversation, and if you and I have a chance to do something about it, what will we choose to do? So one narrative is that the internet has been great. We want the internet to continue to prosper for the next 50 years. I think some of us can relate and agree with that narrative, right?
Yep, I agree. Yep.
You agree, right? Good, because
Yep.
it's been a good thing, even though some things have not been good, like fake news and all those things, but generally it's a good thing.
I'd say it's been phenomenal. When I look back at my career, if it hadn't been for the internet, I mean, I have learned so much, and I've made money from the internet, which is completely free. I mean, it's amazing.
Right. Amazing, right? Okay, so that's one view. But then look at the other view, which is where, you have the narrative about, but we got to save the planet. We're using too much energy. AI is just another level of using energy. But you know what? The internet too. Not as much, but it still uses energy. So the question here is that if it's consuming so much energy just to run the internet, should we think about not having the internet? So this is why I find that workshop to be really enlightening. And if I were to be asked a question about how to answer the question, which is relating to AI here, then here's my answer. I'm putting the lens on as a technology professional, and my profession, my goal in life is to make sure that we use technology to benefit whoever that needs to benefit. Ideally, it should be for the good, general good, rather than for the few, right? So it has to be about that. And therefore, for that, I would focus my energy on how I can create an internet in the next 50 years that's going to be energy efficient to solve that problem, rather than to question whether the internet is a good thing or a bad thing, because I cannot answer that question, but I can answer the other one. So that would be my answer about AI too. I would be taking responsibility for my own actions and thinking around the things that I can do something about, rather than the bigger question where everybody can be part of it, but it doesn't really lead us anywhere.